What would you do if you had nothing left to give, but someone needed your help anyway? Picture this. A man sitting in a nearly empty diner, staring at a cup of coffee he can barely afford. His hands are calloused and scarred from years of hard work. His pockets are empty. His future looks darker than the December sky outside. He's lost his business, his savings, his sense of purpose. And then a stranger walks through the door. What happens next will leave you speechless. Because what Caleb Hartman did in that moment, when he had every reason to turn away, set off a chain reaction that would not only save his life, but transform dozens of others. This is a story of how one act of unexpected kindness came full circle in the most extraordinary way. Stay with me, because you need to hear this. Caleb Hartman wasn't always a broken man nursing cheap coffee in a Millbrook, Ohio diner. There was a time when his name meant something in this small town. Hartman's auto repair sat on the corner of Main and Fifth, a modest shop with a loyal clientele and a reputation built on honest work and fair prices. Caleb could diagnose an engine problem by sound alone. Customers would wait weeks for an appointment because they trusted him. He took pride in that trust. But life is a way of unraveling even the strongest threads. First came the investments. A business partner convinced him to expand, buy better equipment, hire more staff, open a second location. The loan seemed manageable. The projections looked solid. Then the economy shifted. The partner disappeared. And suddenly Caleb was drowning in debt he couldn't service. Then his mother got sick. Cancer doesn't care about your bank account. The treatments, the specialists, the experimental options insurance wouldn't cover. Caleb emptied everything trying to save her. He sold the equipment. He let the staff go. He watched the shop's lights go dark for the last time. And still it wasn't enough. She passed away on a Tuesday morning, leaving him with nothing but medical bills and a grief so heavy he could barely breathe. By his mid-40s, Caleb had become invisible. No business, no savings, no community that remembered the skilled mechanic he once was. Just a man trying to stretch $3 into a meal, sitting in a diner booth, wondering how he'd make rent in 5 days. Have you ever felt like you've lost everything you worked for? Like the universe took everything good and left you with nothing but the weight of your failures? That's where Caleb was. Rock bottom with no rope in sight. December in Ohio bites hard. The kind of cold that seeps through threadbare jackets and settles in your bones. Caleb sat in Rosie's diner, his usual corner booth, making his single cup of coffee last as long as possible. The warmth, the ambient noise, anything to delay going back to his tiny apartment with the overdue eviction notice taped to the door. He watched the condensation streak down the window, headlights occasionally cutting through the darkness outside. That's when the old sedan rolled into the parking lot, sputtering, coughing, barely making it before dying completely. The driver climbed out, a young guy in his 20s, dress shirt and khakis, looking thoroughly out of place and absolutely panicked. He came into the diner, asked if anyone knew anything about cars. Most people glanced up, then went back to their meals. Not their problem, not their concern. Caleb felt something stir. Not sympathy exactly, more like muscle memory. The part of him that still identified as a mechanic, even though that life was gone. "I can take a look," he heard himself say. The young man, Noah Briggs, he introduced himself, looked relieved but cautious. "I don't have much cash on me right now, but I can—" "Let me see what's wrong first," Caleb interrupted, already standing. Outside, the cold hit him like a fist. His old toolbox sat in the trunk of his own barely functional car, the one thing he hadn't sold. He grabbed a wrench and a flashlight, their familiar weight somehow comforting. Noah popped the hood. Caleb leaned in, and suddenly the world made sense again. This language he understood. This problem he could solve. 15 minutes. That's all it took. A loose battery cable and a corroded connection. Simple fix. The engine turned over smooth as silk. "What do I owe you?" Noah asked, already reaching for his wallet. Caleb surprised himself with his answer. "Nothing. Just pay it forward someday. When you can. When someone needs help." Noah looked stunned. "Are you sure?" "I'm sure." And for the first time in months, Caleb almost smiled. If you've ever helped someone without expecting anything back, drop a comment below, because what happened next is proof that these moments matter more than we realize. 3 weeks passed. Caleb had nearly forgotten about the college kid with the broken-down car. He had bigger problems, like the landlord who'd given him until Friday to come up with rent, or the fact that his phone had been disconnected, or that he was considering selling the toolbox, his father's toolbox, the last thing that still connected him to who he used to be. Thursday afternoon, a knock on his apartment door. Caleb opened it expecting the landlord. Instead, Noah Briggs stood there, looking nervous and determined, holding a manila envelope that contained something precious. "Mr. Hartman, can I come in?" Caleb's mind raced. Why would this kid track him down? Was something wrong with the car? Did he want his money back, even though Caleb never charged him? "I told my father about you," Noah said, sitting on the worn couch. "About what you did. How you fixed my car when you didn't have to. How you didn't take a dime." "It wasn't a big deal," Caleb muttered. "It was to me." Noah slid the envelope across the coffee table. "My dad owns Midwest Trucking. 87 trucks. 3 distribution centers. And his head mechanic just retired. I told him about you. Not just that you fixed my car, but the way you worked. Like you really cared about getting it right." Caleb stared at the envelope, but didn't touch it. "He wants to meet you," Noah continued. "But first, I know you're struggling. I asked around. I heard about your shop, your mom. I'm so sorry." He nodded toward the envelope. "That's enough to cover what you need right now. Consider in advance. The job's real if you want it. Good salary. Benefits. Your own garage to manage." Caleb's hands shook as he opened the envelope. A check. More money than he'd seen in 2 years. And a letter on company letterhead, outlining a job offer that read like a lifeline thrown from the deck of a ship to a drowning man. He couldn't speak. Tears blurred his vision. "You helped me when you had nothing," Noah said quietly. "That says everything about who you are. Everything my dad needs to know." Hit that like button if you believe kindness comes back around. Because Caleb's story doesn't end here. It gets even better. Within a month, Caleb Hartman walked into Midwest Trucking's main garage as the new head mechanic. Clean uniform, health insurance, a paycheck that let him breathe again. But more than that, dignity. Purpose, a reason to wake up in the morning. Here's where the story takes on a life of its own. 6 months into his new position, Caleb noticed a pattern. Young guys would come through. Mechanics from other shops, applicants without much experience, and they all had that same look he recognized. The desperation poorly hidden behind bravado. The hunger not just for a paycheck, but for someone to believe in them. Caleb started asking questions. One kid, Marcus, had aged out of foster care with no family and nowhere to go. Another, David, had a record from a mistake he made at 19 and couldn't catch a break. A woman named Jennifer was trying to escape an abusive relationship and needed skills that could support her kids. Caleb saw himself in every single one of them, so he made a decision. He talked to Noah's father, proposed a mentorship program, give people with rough backgrounds a real shot, training, apprenticeships, second chances. Noah's father, impressed by Caleb's transformation and work ethic, agreed to fund it. That's how it started. Marcus became one of the garage's top diesel specialists. He later opened his own small shop, where he hired 3 other young men from similar backgrounds. David turned his life around completely, now runs a night shift and volunteers with at-risk youth on weekends. Jennifer got her ASE certifications and now teaches automotive classes at the local community college, showing other women that they belong in this field too. And each person Caleb helped, they helped others. The ripple spread wider than anyone imagined, from one broken-down car on a December night to dozens of lives rebuilt, families fed, kids who grew up with a parent who had stable work and renewed hope, communities strengthened by people who'd been given what Caleb had been given, a chance. Years later, Caleb and Noah still meet for coffee. Same diner, different circumstances. They laugh about that night, about how close Caleb came to just staying in his booth, minding his own business, letting someone else deal with a stranger's problems. I think about it sometimes, Caleb admits. What if I hadn't helped you? But you did, Noah says simply, when you had every reason not to. That's what made all the difference. Do you know someone whose small act of kindness changed a life? Share their story in the comments below, because these stories need to be told. They remind us that we all have the power to be someone's turning point. Caleb often tells the young mechanics he mentors, it wasn't luck that saved me. It was one act of kindness that came full circle. And now we're making that circle bigger. Every person you help, every time you choose kindness over convenience, you're creating ripples that reach further than you'll ever know. That simple gesture didn't just change his life. It changed everyone whose path he crossed afterward. So what's the real lesson here? It's not some fairy tale about doing good and magically getting rewarded. Life doesn't work on a point system. Caleb didn't help Noah expecting a job offer. He helped because, buried under all his pain and failure, there was still a part of him that recognized another human being in need. That's the thing about kindness without expectation. It's the purest form of humanity we have. You might be Caleb right now. Maybe you're struggling, wondering how you'll make it through the month. Maybe you feel invisible, forgotten, like nothing you do matters anymore. But you still have something to give. Your time, your skills, your presence. And sometimes that's exactly what changes everything. Or maybe you're Noah. Maybe you're in a position to recognize someone's character, to open a door, to turn a kind gesture into a life-changing opportunity. Don't underestimate the power you have to reach back and pull someone up. Here's what most people miss. Showing up when you're struggling is more powerful than showing up when you're thriving. Caleb didn't help Noah from a place of abundance. He helped from emptiness. And that's what made it real. That's what made it count. You want to know what you can do today? Right now? Pay attention to the people around you. The ones working hard in silence. The ones who help without asking for credit. The ones who still show up with integrity, even when no one's watching. Those are your Calebs. Give them a chance. Tell someone about them. Open a door. And if you're the one struggling, keep showing up. Keep being the person who helps even when it's hard. Your moment will come, not because the universe owes you, but because character reveals itself eventually. Good people recognize good people. If this story touched you, smash that subscribe button. Share this with someone who needs to hear it today. And comment below, what's one act of kindness you'll do this week? Because stories like Caleb's don't just inspire us, they challenge us to be better, to do better, to remember that we're all connected by these invisible threads of humanity. You never know when your moment will come, or when you'll be someone else's moment. From a desperate man in a diner booth to a mentor changing lives, Caleb Hartman's transformation reminds us that rock bottom isn't the end of the story. It's just the beginning of a different chapter. One cold December night. One simple choice to help a stranger. That's all it took to set everything in motion. Not because the universe rewards goodness like some cosmic vending machine, but because authentic kindness creates connections that last. This is what Earthly Tales is all about. Stories that remind us of our shared humanity. Stories that prove we're capable of more compassion, more resilience, more transformation than we realize. Caleb's legacy isn't just the garage he manages or the mechanics he's trained. It's a reminder that none of us are beyond redemption, that our worst moments don't define us, that one person's belief in us can reignite everything we thought we'd lost. If you enjoyed this story, check out the other incredible journeys we've shared on this channel. Hit that bell icon so you never miss a story that might just change how you see the world. Until next time, be kind, pay it forward, and remember, you might be one act of kindness away from everything changing.